Pretty good, Michael. What's going on?
Dude, it's another day in paradise. Another day, another Royals loss. We're what 7-20 now. Worst record in the Major League Baseball.
worst,
It's
worse
brutal.
than Boston?
Worst in
Uh,
Boston.
Wow, because Boston's got to be second worst in or something.
Worse than the Mariners. Or
Oh,
sorry, the Marlins. I should say.
okay, yeah,
Uh, Worse than everybody.
wow.
It's a sad day to be a Kansas City fan, but at the same time, I'm still a Kansas City fan, man. So for you guys that do not know, Marcus a Freak is a author as well. Marcus, tell the people a little bit about your book.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it's my autobiography. I wrote it about 4 years ago. It's at Barnes and Noble website. It's at Amazon.com websites. It's a pretty good book. It's about my life story and how I grew up and my biography. It ends, when I'm 29 years old. That's when the biography ends. But because my life after 29 years old is pretty boring, nobody would want to know about that. Um, but yeah, from I was born to 29 years old, it was pretty exciting, pretty adventurous life. So just all you have to do is Google my name, Marcus Valaspino, and my book will pop up, and you'll be able to see all about it.
And you guys, I have put the link to his book in the description below here on the YouTube channel. If you watch us on YouTube, consider subscribing to the channel, hitting that bell icon, liking and sharing the page as well. If you're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, all that good stuff, consider following that podcast. Give us a ranking if you would as well. That would be pretty pretty awesome in my book. Preferably five stars. And here for the next 6 days, you have a chance to win $100 if you leave a ranking on the iTunes page. So, Marcus, let's get right into it here. The draft is still fresh in our minds. We're still living off the high of the draft. And we forgot to talk about your season ticket holding team, the Houston
Yeah.
Texans. We really didn't get a whole lot into their draft picks earlier, their wants, their like their needs, but
Right.
they did take an offensive tackle in the first round. How do you think the Texans did in the draft this year?
I gave him I mean, obviously we can't really grade these things until maybe a year or so from now. People always say, hey, we'll find out in 3 years. No, we'll probably, I know it takes time to develop, but usually you can get a better gauge on that. We'll find out this year if the draft works for the Texans
Right.
or any other team. We're gonna find out this coming year a little more. So I don't know if we need to wait the full 3 years. I mean, sometimes you can wait the full 3 years and that's fine, and you get a better assessment. But the hell with 3 years. We live in the now, and I think I give them a B right now in the draft. My draft grade. Everybody, in the world says they reach for Titus Howard, the 23 overall pick. I think that the Eagles came in and stole their thunder there. With the 22nd pick, they picked the offensive tackle out of Washington State, who was pretty good, and I think the Texans maybe had him on the board. But what's amazing about the Texans is people are cutting on Titus Howard a little bit out of Alabama State, right? But obviously the Texans wanted him. People say that they pushed a panic button when Philadelphia at 22 jumped ahead of them and took the tackle out of Washington State. I don't believe they pushed a panic button
No.
because they passed on Jawan Taylor and they passed on Cody Ford. So obviously they thought Titus Howard was the second best offensive tackle in this draft. So I don't think there was really any panic. I mean, when you pass on a Cody Ford and a Jawan Taylor, who, by the way, their former general manager, Charlie Casserly, said he would have taken Cody Ford and Jawan Taylor over the pick they got, Titus Howard at 23. So shows you a little bit of difference on Casserly running the team and as opposed to Brian Gain running the team. But hey, look, they believe in Titus Howard. He did. It's funny thing. All these people always talk about, oh, you've never seen these people play. Hell, if you watch college football, I've seen all these people play. But when there's a Titus Howard going, he jumps out here from a small school. He's
Right.
one of the only ones at the first round I've never seen play. If you take a look at that first round, I've seen every one of these kids play. I mean, you go right down to Quinnen Williams to DK Metcalf. From the first pick and to the last pick of the second round, we've seen them all play. I mean, so there's a lot of experts out there, and a lot of radio heads say, "Oh, you've never seen these." We've seen them all play, but I've never seen Titus Howard play. He had except for the Senior Bowl which he did well. I watched a little bit of the practice, how they go one-on-one, but I've never seen Titus Howard play except for a few video clips, in a game highlight. Because obviously he went to Alabama State. They're not on TV. He had one good game against Auburn. That's from what everybody's telling me, and you can look at the film, and he kicked Auburn's butt. He's super athletic, got quick feet, and that's the new norm there for the tackle there. Everybody's trying to get a Tyron Smith since the Cowboys drafted Tyron Smith in 2011. He looks like a basketball player playing football. Looks like a power forward. Little light on his feet, not heavy, especially at the tackle position. So the Texans didn't reach there at the 23rd pick at all. That's what the experts will say. Obviously the Texans felt different. They had him rated ahead of Cody Ford and Juwan Taylor. I'll reiterate. So we'll see how that pick pans out. I didn't have him. Actually, it's funny thing is I had. When I did my top 10 offensive tackles, I put Titus Howard at 10 just because of the Senior Bowl and the things I heard. He's the only one I put in the top 10 I've never seen play. I've seen Max Sharpring play at Northern Illinois. I actually had him at the ninth tackle. So the Texans got in my board, the ninth and 10th best offensive tackles they got. So, hey, if that's who they feel that they wanted and they identified him, they know more than I do. I mean, they've studied this stuff more than I have. So, and I like Max Sharpring. He's another tackle that they got. He dominated the 16th overall pick, Brian Burns from from Florida State. Burns, who's expected to be a great pass rusher in the NFL, from Florida State, big number 99 in your program. Max Sharpring didn't let him within 5 yards of the quarterback. So, Max Sharpring's got talent there. The Texans know what they're doing. It's actually possible that after next year, you could see Max Sharpring start on the right side and Titus Howard start on the left side, their first and third round picks. Their second round pick, Lonnie Johnson, I loved him. I actually had Lonnie Johnson. When you look at everything, I know there was the Greedy Williams and DeAndre Baker and the Byron Murphy. Those were the three corners everybody was talking about going in the first round. I liked Rock Ya-Sin from Temple, who went to the Colts, which I hate. Rock Ya-Sin and Lonnie Johnson remind me of Byron Jones from the Cowboys and Quentin Jammer. They're tall, they're lean, they stick all over you. They're press man corners. They might get called for some pass interference plays now here and there. Quentin Jammer, Byron Jones, they got to they had to get over that. They're a little touchy feely. Right. The big style corner there. But I like the way they stick on their man. Even I have them. Greedy Williams is probably the best corner in the draft covering man-to-man, but they don't tackle. He doesn't tackle. He doesn't play the all-around corner like Rock Ya-Sin and the Texans pick Lonnie Johnson. So I would have pushed. I wouldn't have even taken Greedy Williams for his first round. I would have taken Rock Ya-Sin or Lonnie Johnson the first round, and they happen to fall to my dreaded Colts there. Rock Ya-Sin, who went to the Colts there, and then the Texans got Lonnie Johnson, which I absolutely love. 6'2", 210 pounds. I think the two corners that went for that were rated like fourth and fifth, usually on everybody's board, I think are better than the top three: the Byron Murphy, Greedy Williams, and DeAndre Baker, who went to the Giants, by the way. So I think the Texans did well. I give them a B. We'll see what happens. They also picked a super athletic tight end that I've actually seen play at San Diego State. But I mean, he didn't, when I'm watching San Diego State play, I mean, he jumped out a little bit, but it wasn't like, oh, okay, got to draft him. You know what I mean? He's one of those late bloomers. So we'll see what happens there. The kid out of San Diego State, the tight end that the Texans pick. We'll see how he does. His name is Khalil Waring or something like that. So. Yep. So we'll see how he does. He's supposed to be a super athletic freak. But the first three picks, the Max Sharpring, the Titus Howard, Lonnie Johnson, those I think are three eventual starters. Matter of fact, I'll call it here. Those are going to be in 2 years from now, maybe even before that. Those are going to be three starters on the Texans team. So I think I give them a B. But like I said, we won't know until we see them in training camp, and we'll see. We'll see them in a couple of years from now. Because we've been Texas fans, I mean, and it happens with every organization. We get sold a bill of goods. Mm-hmm. They selected Julian Davenport, who's supposed to be, a couple of years ago, or was it last year? He's supposed to be real loud on his feet, this new improved offensive tackle and all this. And Julian Davenport for the Texans has struggled big time. I mean, he's getting beat left and right. And that's why that's part of the reason why Deshaun Watson struggled so much in some of his reads, he's running for his life. Deshaun Watson can't even go through progressions. It's like 1, 2, and they're touching him already. I told you like last week, that's ridiculous. And Julian Davenport was part of that problem. Let's hope that Davenport's gotten better. The Texans signed Matt Khalil on the left side, and they're getting back Central Henderson on the right side. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Titus Howard and Max Sharpring are worth their weight, I think in a couple years they're going to replace Henderson and Matt Khalil. So we'll see what happens. I like the Texans draft. It was okay. People are down on it. I give them a B. I think they did pretty well.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you on this. I think they did well at 2. Being a Kentucky fan, I saw Lonnie Johnson play a lot, and I think he was really undervalued as a cornerback, and to get him late in the second round was a steal, because I definitely thought he was a late first round pick, maybe even early second round pick. So for him to drop as far as like as he did, that's a really big steal. They also addressed their offensive line needs by picking those 2 guys that, like you just mentioned, I believe they had 116 sacks over the last 2 years. That's 12 more than any other team over that time.
That's ridiculous, is what that is.
I mean, just so for Watson to get any type of protection, so even 0.3 more of a second to see a guy streaking down the field, the Houston Texans are going to be that much better. And they were really good with him getting sacked that much. So I'm kind of excited to see, once these linemen get in there, to see if they can actually produce and give him some to give him some time. Scrolling through their picks here, they drafted professional players ready right now. They don't have to really wait those 3 years, like you said, for these players to get in NFL shape. These guys are ready to play right now. They can step up and make an impact right now.
I agree. The top 3, absolutely. The top 3 picks that they made, I don't care about rookiness.
Right.
You know what I mean? This isn't the little grade school here.
Yeah.
These 3 could actually, if worst came to worst, could start. All 3 of them could start the top 3 picks for the Texans.
And they wouldn't skip a beat either. Like maybe a preseason game they might miss a block or 2, but after that, I definitely see them performing the way they were in college.
Hey, after watching Julian Davenport at left tackle, Titus Howard can start for me day 1.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, just the Texans' offensive line woes. Like, I don't know if it's the coaching that they got, or these guys are just underperforming.
No, Michael, they're not addressing, like, okay, in the NFL there's a salary cap. They're not addressing the offensive line very well. They traded Dwayne Brown a couple years ago. Also, they have Kendall Lamb. Kendall Lamb's been average at best. I mean, sometimes he just gets beat terrible. Matt Sharpring right now is better than Kendall Lamb. I'll put a steak dinner on that. So yeah, they're not addressing it very well. Just like Seattle built their defense, and then their offensive line, because you only have so much money in the salary cap. So Seattle struggled with their offensive line, and Russell Wilson running for his life. I mean, if Eli Manning played behind the Texans offensive line or the Seattle Seahawks offensive line, he'd be in a morgue somewhere.
I mean, and he's already halfway there anyways, playing with the Giants. So that so that goes to tell you something. But the kid from the Texans draft that I'm really to see is that Xavier Crawford from Central. What was it? Was it Central Illinois? He was from, I think. But he's
Central Michigan.
Yeah, Central Michigan. He's a solid player. I saw him play a couple games this year, earlier in the season when like Central Michigan was still rolling pretty well, and he is the type of guy that would jump off the page at you, just like we were talking about last week. The ball can be a all the way across the field, and I'm watching him play. It's just like he is that type of dynamic player.
No, I love him too. And then for all these people, the little haters, little naysayers, oh, you can't watch all these teams. Man, trust me, I've watched Central Michigan play. They come on TV, guys. Right. I watched Cooper Rush play for the Cowboys. He played for Central Michigan. Antonio Brown for the Steelers. I watched him a lot at Central Michigan. He
Yeah.
wore number 27. Me and my son watched Antonio Brown play for Central Michigan about 5 times, and we were thinking, man, this guy's pretty good. We didn't, we didn't think he was going to be an all-world receiver,
Right.
but he was pretty damn good. I mean, he was. They gave it the ball to him at running back. He was like the jack of all trades at Central Michigan. He wore number 27. He was great at Central Michigan. I thought maybe he was like a 3rd-round pick, and then the Steelers got him in the 5th-round pick. So Central Michigan comes on TV, and Cooper Rush broke all kind of records at Cowboys backup at
Right.
Central Michigan. So he actually he beat Oklahoma. Was that man? You know what I'm thinking? Central Michigan beat Oklahoma State with a Hail Mary play. I think Cooper Rush threw that ball.
Yeah.
It was they beat Oklahoma State in the last seconds.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you guys have to realize with this day and age that we stay in, football starts like at 10 a.m. and it goes till 3 o'clock in the morning. And if like at least on my TV, I say record a college football game, it will record every college football game that's on TV, and like my DVR is full.
I'm a flat out junkie. I'm watching the morning shows, and I'm watching packed. We talked about this. I'm watching UCLA at Arizona at 1 in the morning.
And it's still the second half, or still the third,
right?
Still the third quarter.
And one quick thing, Michael, one quick note, we'll get where the Texans draft. I've watched this guy play every game, and that was Charles Omenihu.
Oh, from
the
Texas.
Defenseman from Texas. I've watched him. I don't think there's a game I didn't watch. Maybe if I did, it was to go to a birthday party, and then it's funny, when I travel to a birthday party or something, I make sure I get to the TV. So I may have missed a quarter. And this guy has progressed every single year. Charles Omenihu, big number 90 in your Texas Longhorns program there. He was as a sophomore and a junior, thought he was pretty good, decent. Nothing jumped off the page, but he was a good run stopper. Occasionally got to the quarterback. He put it all together, Charles Omenihu, his senior year, and he became team captain. He was a dominant player at Texas his senior year. And I think the Texans got he could be a potential starter. I mean, at the 5 technique, and that's a defensive end in the 3-4. I wouldn't shock me at all. Maybe not this coming up year because they've got a lot of players, but it wouldn't shock me at all if Charles Omenihu from the University of Texas became the Houston Texans starter in the 3-4 at defensive end. He's a heck of a player. He's improved every year, and he was great for the Texas Longhorns last year.
Yeah, and just to add to your point, I think those guys are the biggest steal in the draft that like you take in the 4th and 5th round picks that grow so much from their junior to senior year because they aren't on the maps of most teams. Just because they haven't dominated their sophomore, junior year. Those guys that make that big jump from their junior to senior year, those guys are usually the most hungriest, and you get them in the 4, 5, 6 round range, and they always seem to be in the league for 10, 12, 13 years. So let's go ahead and switch gears here. Switch back to the whole first round, the guys that we've been watching since they're freshmen, sophomores, etc. I want to know what you think, or what player you think is going to be a bust out of the first round, and who is going to have the best career out of the first round.
That's an excellent question, Michael. I got a few that I think are going to have excellent careers. I love what the Broncos did with getting Noah Fant. I mean, he looks the part of Gronk. I mean, positionless tight end there. I mean, I think that you can line. Actually, excuse me. Noah Fant. Actually, let me go to T.J. Hockenson, the Lions. T.J. Hockenson were more like Gronk. Noah Fant's actually pretty good, but let me go to T.J. Hockenson first. We'll get to Noah Fant in a second. T.J. Hockenson is a guy for the Lions that they can is positionless. It's almost like positionless basketball. It's like he's a tight end, but you can line Hockenson for the Lions. Matthew Stafford's gonna love him. I mean, Matthew Stafford's got. I mean, I'm sure when they made the pick, he's trying to get to practice because this is the real deal.
Yeah.
T.J. Hockenson, you can line up in the slot. You can line up right side, left side, strong side, weak side. You can line up Hockenson at receiver. This guy's the jack of all trades. He's the closest thing that I've seen to Gronk in a long time. He's not just your regular average tight end, not in the slightest. And I see why he went so high to the Lions, what, at pick 8 or something like that. And he went high, and that's a perfect pick for Matthew Stafford. You know, I was looking at Matthew Stafford. He's never won a division title. I thought that was
Really?
I had to think about that for a second. Matthew Stafford, the Lions, they've been in the playoffs a couple times, but I guess they're always the wild card.
Right.
I'm thinking Matthew Stafford's been in the league 8 years. They haven't snuck in there and won the division once, but no, but
Of course, the Packers have been good though the whole time. So
yeah, Packers have been good, and yeah, I mean, and then I think the Bears just won. Yeah, but yeah. So T.J. Hawkinson, I think, is going to be explosive there for Matthew Stafford at the Lions. Now let me get back because I jumped ahead of myself. Noah Fant to the Broncos. That is an excellent pick as well. Flacco's going to love him. This guy's almost near Hawkinson athletic wise. Fant's a little slower, but hey. Just because you're a little slower than T.J. Hawkinson doesn't mean anything. These guys both went high. I think Noah Fant and T.J. Hawkinson are going to have great seasons for the Broncos and Lions, respectively. If Flacco's got to be on cloud 9 getting Noah Fant. That's a great pick. I think John Elway hit the home run there. He passed on the quarterback, and then he ended up getting the quarterback in the second round, Drew Lock, his quarterback, which was, I don't know if that was a gamble there or he just lucked into it. I think he lucked into it because it's just like the Cowboys lucked into Dak Prescott in the 4th round, pick 135 overall. They didn't think they didn't think Dak would be there at 135. I mean, and they, it's kind of lucked into it there. So, and then let me go one more. A couple of the Raiders real quick. Josh Jacobs, I think, is going to have a fabulous year, running back at Alabama. I think he's going to tote the rock probably 15 times a game. He's not going to be that 1,600 yards, like Ezekiel Elliott or Todd Gurley, or he'll be more in that barely above 1,000. But that's a heck of a rookie year. You know what I mean? He'll be offensive. He'll be first team all rookie, and then he'll have about 400 yards receiving. Exactly. So he'll have a combined like 1,500 yards there. Josh Jacobs out of Alabama there for the Raiders. And then one quick one finally for the Raiders. I think that Clelin Ferrell, who a lot of people think they reached for the 4th overall pick, I don't think they reached. If you've identified Clelin Ferrell from Clemson as the second best 4-3 defensive end behind Bosa, then you go ahead and you take him at 4. I mean, I wouldn't even wait around because if you want that pass rusher, they had the 4th overall pick, right? They don't pick till 24. So I mean, unless they jumped in and got Ferrell. So if you identify Ferrell and you think you could have moved down and picked Ferrell up, and got an extra pick and picked 9th or 10th or something and got Ferrell, that's fine. But Clelin Ferrell, to me, is an excellent pass rusher. He was, and also on Mike Mayock's board, he was the 2nd-rated 4-3 defensive end. And you can also line him up in that wide 9. I mean, he gets after it. And so Bosa was the best defensive end. Clelin Ferrell was the 2nd best. So Bosa's obviously off the board at 4. So they went for a need, but very talented need at Clelin Ferrell, the Oakland Raiders. I think he's going to get 8 to 10 sacks his rookie year. And it wasn't like, they reached for him at 4, but it wasn't like he was like the 40th best player on the board. I had him like right around 15, 16. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a reach, but it's not like this monumental reach who we're about to get into who I think is going to be a bust. That was a monumental reach in my opinion. But Clelin Ferrell will be fine also for the Raiders. I think Mike Mayock did a good job with his first three picks there.
Yeah, I like your tight ends picks there. I think they're going to have solid careers. But as far as the best season this year for their rookie season, I'm going to have to go with Josh Allen. I think he fits that system almost perfectly. He is not going to miss a beat jumping from Kentucky up into the Jags, and him dropping down to I believe was the 9th pick makes him that much hungry because he was projected as a 3 or 4 overall pick, and for him to drop those 5 or 6 spots, he
dropped to 7.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to make him hungry. I mean, I saw him tweet right after he was he's like, hey, let's get to work. So he is hungry and ready to play. And another person that I think is going to have another great career is the wide receiver for the Patriots, the Neil Henry. He is in a perfect situation. He gets to learn from Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and those 3 or 4 really good wide receivers that they have over there. He is not going to have a great rookie year, but he's going to have a great career. He is in a perfect situation to blow up in 3 years. Once Tom Brady is, like he is gone, he is going to be the man. He is going to be the focal point of that offense, and it just is. It's just he's going to be great. So
I could not agree with you more. Keneal Henry, I knew some people that had him as the best rated wide receiver in the entire draft. This wasn't a wide receiver draft per se, but Keneal Henry, 6'3", kid out of Arizona State, another kid. Watched him a million times. He tore up UTSA, poor UTSA Roadrunners. But I watched him, that Pac-12 After Dark. This guy catches everything. There's a reason Bill Belichick wanted him at 32. Now, I think Belichick tried to trade out of there, but so what? They stood pat. They didn't find any trade teams, and they took their best player on their board, Keneal Henry. This guy is off the charts. I've heard they're going to put him in some Gronk situations. Gronk's not there anymore, where they would line up Gronk in the slot in different positions. That's going to be Keneal Henry's spot now.
If you guys are in a keeper league and a keeper fantasy league, you better get this guy right now.
Yeah, no. There's a reason he was drafted. Listen, the Patriots, you think they're going to waste a first-round pick on some? No, absolutely not. So this guy's going to be real prominent. And who is your other one? Josh Allen. Holy smokes, man. That bothers me because, I'm a Texans fan. Now I got to worry about Josh Allen. He slipped that way.
Yeah.
They were probably freaking out. The Jacksonville Jaguars had no idea they were going to get Josh Allen. And to get him at the 7th spot, as soon as Cleveland Farrell went to Oakland, and then I guess Kyler Murray, and then Daniel Jones, who we're about to talk about in a minute, went to 6, the Jaguars probably just could throw a parade.
Yeah.
Because they had no idea Josh Allen, a lot of these reaches, and Josh Allen just fell right to them.
They could not get their pick in fast enough.
Oh, my God. That should have taken – the NFL said that they wanted each team to take their full it was like 10, but they wanted them to take at least 5 minutes and let it wait out, even if you knew who you were going to pick. Jacksonville probably was like, as soon as they got to 5 minutes, boom, there it is. I mean, Josh Allen's a no-brainer pick. That's one of those where I always say, I could go to the movies and leave my daughter with the organization with the draft, and she would pick Josh Allen at the 7th pick. So it was kind of like the no-brainer of no-brainers. I like your 2 picks. Yeah, that's really good.
If Josh Allen would have got picked there, I think Jacksonville would have had a riot because they need.
Oh man, yeah, you have to take Josh Allen right there. I wouldn't even know what. I guess who they thought they were going to get, T.J. Hawkinson. They wanted that hybrid tight end,
right.
the next Gronk. Almost, nobody's going to be Gronk, but he's like if Gronk's a 10, Hawkinson's a 9. If you're judging by 1 through 10, but. I think Jacksonville had Hawkinson in the brain because, but then Hawkinson moved down 1 and then he was there for Detroit at 8.
Yeah.
And when Josh Allen's there at 7 for Jacksonville. So it was a perfect, Jacksonville was enthralled. I know they were taking Josh Allen and I'm going to hate it because, man, now he's going after my boy Deshaun Watson there.
Man,
let's hope he kills Andrew Luck.
Think about that league now. You have J.J. Watt in there. You're going to have Josh Allen. Yeah. You have that other end that you guys got from South Carolina. His name's slipping my mind.
Jadeveon Clowney,
Jadeveon Clowney. And then the Colts, they got pretty good defense. Like, you guys are going to be in a defense of division there.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of 3 to 6 scores there.
Yeah, no, to be honest with you, I think the AFC South is one of the top 3 divisions of football. I mean, it's really good. Just look at the quarterbacks.
Right. So now let's go to the opposite side of these, of the spectrum here. You've been kind of foreshadowing what your pick is going to be, but who is going to be the biggest bust out of this first round, in your opinion?
The Giants' 6th overall pick taking Daniel Jones. I don't see it. I have no idea what they're doing. Dave Gettleman, I don't know what you're doing. I think this is what you call a fireable pick. Like, you're going to be fired pretty soon. I don't see it. The guy went 17 and 19 in his career. And I know it's hard to judge a quarterback just off wins and losses because there's so many variables in there. I mean, he's playing the competition and, you could be the best one. And I get all that. But still, under 500. Here's the one that kills me. His career, he was under 60% completion. I mean, what was everybody dropping the football every game? I mean,
well, they weren't very good, so I mean,
I understand that, but you can't be, that's Eli Manning-esque 60% completion. Yeah,
fits the mold perfectly, right?
I mean, yeah, I just didn't see it. Listen, Daniel Jones, I think is going to be a good career backup, and he's going to be who once in a while he'll start some games. I just don't see him as the 6th overall pick. And if you thought that he was going to be, your franchise quarterback and all that, there's all this like, well, just take him at 6. Yeah, I guess. I mean, because I get that thinking too. But really, you could have taken Josh Allen with the 6th pick, right?
Right.
For the Giants. You could have taken that, and then I will, more than a steak dinner, I bet my rent coming up tomorrow on May 1st that Daniel Jones would have been there at 17.
Yeah.
I mean, so I just think they could have taken him at 17. I really do. Now, there's a lot of people that are, they even go more overboard than me. They're saying, "Oh, you could have got Daniel Jones in the 2nd round," and stop it. No, but you don't wait the 2nd round. You had two premium picks. You could have got the best pass rusher in the draft, and then with 17, you could have got Daniel Jones, who you thought was the best quarterback in the draft. So I think they blew it. And then if some of these players become like Hall of Fame players, here's where you'll tell. Here's where you got to wait your 3 years. Here's where you made more.
Yeah.
If Josh Allen and some of these players, Noah Fant or T.J. Hawkinson, or Ed Oliver at 9, if they become if they become like all-world players, not just the quarterbacks, because you got an opportunity to take a whole lot of people. If they become all-world, all-pros, and Daniel Jones is throwing a couple interceptions a game, you're fired.
So let me ask you this question. You think the Giants could have got Daniel Jones at the 17th pick? Yes. Do you think he would have been considered a bust at the 17th pick?
Yeah, if he doesn't pan out, yeah. If you're a first-round pick and then Paxton Lynch a bust, and Paxton Lynch was taken by the Broncos at the 20th selection. Brady Quinn was taken at 20, 21 or 22. The quarterback at A&M, Johnny Football, was taken at 22, all busts. So, yeah, you can still it's your first-round pick. You got to perform. I mean, there's no if 17th pick, he would have been considered a bust too if he doesn't perform. I mean, maybe not like the 6th pick, but the 17th pick still a first-round pick. I don't know what the hell they're doing. If I was there in the draft room, they probably would have kicked me out. Even if I agreed with them that Daniel Jones is really good, I'd have said, guys, you can get him at 17. Let's get Josh Allen here. What are we doing? Hell, worst case scenario, let's get the next Gronk. But I think the Giants are pretty good at tight end. But I mean, there wasn't any receiver there, No. But they could have had Ed Oliver. They could have. I mean, there's a lot of great players that they could have had. It was amazing that they Devin Bush for the Steelers, the middle linebacker that's just going to probably lead the NFL in tackles. Yeah. Devin Bush or Devin White. Devin White went to Tampa, and Devin Bush went 10th overall to the Steelers. I would bet another steak dinner that one of those guys is going to lead the rookies in tackles, just like Leonard for the Colts did last year, and Van Der Esch was 2nd. The 2 rookies in tackles last year. Leonard, the pick for the Colts, really good football player.
Really
Van Der Esch
player.
Van Der Esch probably would have led rookies in tackles. He finished 2nd for the Cowboys. Van Der Esch, but he missed. He didn't start there. A couple of games Sean Lee was there.
Yeah. Like if Van Der Esch would have started like every game, he would have definitely led the tackles.
Right.
I think. And just to keep on the bus topic here, I am going to stay in the quarterback realm, and I got to go with Kyler Murray from Arizona. I mean, because in theory, he is a 2 first-round pick quarterback. So, like, you're giving up next year's first-round pick and this year's first-round pick.
You gave up Rosen.
And last year's first-round pick, too. So he's actually a 3-year first-round pick. So, like, if he has to be a 15-year Pro Bowl player to not to be a bust for 3 first-round picks. And the expectations of him are going to be so high that he can win, or he can lead you to 3 or 4 NFC championship games and still not be good enough. Like, I just think the expectations for him are going to be so high that if he doesn't win 3 Super Bowls in 6 years, he is going to be considered a bust.
Hey, I had nothing against the Arizona Cardinals. I do now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just stupid hiring Cliff Kingsbury. Why would you do that? I mean, like, I don't understand that hiring. And I like Cliff. I mean, what does he prove? What has he done? Everybody's looking for the next Sean McVay.
My issue is they fired their first year coach.
Yeah.
He had 1 year to turn a miserable team around, and like he didn't get the job done because he didn't have any help. Then you get rid of your first year quarterback that you wasted a first round draft pick on to get and you traded him away for a first round draft pick, and then you wasted a first round draft pick on a quarterback. If this doesn't pan out, they are doomed for 10 to 12 years easily.
Yeah,
they are Cleveland Brown.
And they gave up on Josh Rosen after 1 year. I hope Josh Rosen takes Miami and goes at least 10-6. He's got to beat out Fitzpatrick. I think Josh Rosen has to beat out Fitzpatrick. And then the fat Harvard guy, have you seen him lately? He's a little overweight.
No.
Yeah. Fitzmagic, man, he blamed it on going to all his kids' birthday parties. You know, he's got like 10 kids, right?
Yeah, right.
I think he and Phillip Rivers are battling it out to see who has more kids, or what's that one of the old cornerbacks guy, forgetting his name. They're battling out to see how many kids. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick has like 6 or 7 kids, and I think Rivers, I think she's pregnant again. Phillip Rivers' wife.
Yeah.
She has like 9 kids or something.
This is a fun fact. Phillip Rivers has a kid for every time Tom Brady has beat him.
Yeah, no, that's funny. Hey, the quarterback I was thinking about was Antonio Rodgers-Cromartie. I think he's got like 9 kids by like 5 different women or something. Really? They asked him one time to name all his kids, and he had trouble. He was like, "Well, I mean, how do you forget to name your kid? How do you forget to the name of your kids? I mean, come on." So Antonio Rodgers-Cromartie. I wonder who's going to go for the record there. Will Phillip Rivers beat Antonio Rodgers-Cromartie? But see, it's not fair because Antonio Rodgers-Cromartie is using different women.
Right.
See, Phillip's in with the same woman.
Unfair, man.
Fair. Unfair. They need to get other women involved here. Now, listen, we're going crazy here. Listen, going back to your Arizona Cardinals. Here's a funny thing: Kyler Murray sucks, and then they trade Kyler Murray. They trade him for a second-round pick and get Tua. I mean, what are they doing? I just don't understand. I don't understand an organization taking back-to-back quarterbacks in the first round. I hope Josh Rosen becomes great in Miami, really good. He's got to beat out Fitzpatrick. And then Kyler Murray, man, I hope. I've never liked him at Oklahoma, whatever. I mean, I hope this sets them back, Arizona. Really, I do.
Yeah, I've kind of had a grudge against Kyler since he would never say that he wanted to play NFL. Back when he was flip-flopping but just between the A's and then going to the draft. Why did you just come out and just say, hey, I don't know, or just say, hey, I want to go to the NFL draft? For him to say, I'm keeping my option open, like that was just ridiculous. And then asking the A's for like what, $20 million or whatever he was asking for, just utterly ridiculous.
And then he would go on these shows, and then like the Dan Patrick show and all that. He wouldn't answer any questions. He's just I know he's real introvert, but I hope he's a team leader. I hope they follow him because he didn't have that when he was doing interviews. It was terrible.
I hope he fails and fails hard. I wish ill will on Arizona Cardinals. I hope they go 0-6.
And my ill will on the Cardinals is not so much with Kyler Murray, although I hope he fails, but it's just with the organization, how they've done everything, fired these coaches and bring in Cliff Kingsbury and then quit on their quarterback and what? And then they identify Kyler Murray and go, oh yeah, he's our guy now. You know what I mean? Like, oh, whatever. You'll probably be tanking. You'll probably have Tua. You'll probably trade Kyler Murray in a year and go for Tua. I mean, it's a ridiculous organization. You know what I mean? So I hope they fail.
I'm still kind of upset of seeing Emmitt Smith in a Arizona Cardinal jersey for that year and a half or however long it was.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
That still kind of hurts my heart a little bit.
But, Emmitt actually still did pretty well at Arizona, and actually Roy Williams, Texas, Oklahoma's Roy Williams played for the Cowboys, and he cracked Emmitt's shoulder on one play. It was Arizona versus Dallas, and Emmitt missed the entire year. Our Roy Williams for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And otherwise, Emmitt Smith, he ended up with 18,355 yards. Emmitt Smith would have ended up with 19,000 had he finished out the year. But he did well with Arizona. But, yeah, going back to your thing, man, that is painful. Yeah, watching it was not painful, because it wasn't like, he went to a big time organization where they're going to Super Bowls. That would have been more painful.
Right.
But just to see him in a Cardinal uniform, it looked weird, it looked stupid.
Yeah. Just speaking of uniforms, before we go to a quick break here, I did see that Jamal Charles signed a 1-day contract with the Kansas City Chiefs to retire. I hated seeing him in a Broncos jersey and then getting kind of bounced around the league trying to make a team. So I'm glad to see him retire.
And then real quick, Michael, to piggyback off your Jamal Charles thing, it just goes to show you Jamal Charles was an excellent running back for about 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, like the Emmitt Smiths and Walter Payton and Barry Sanders, how they can just keep their 10th year, they get better. I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah.
Those are the freaks of the Emmitt Smith, the Walter Payton, Frank Gore.
We did not realize the what we were watching. Because there were 5 or 6 really good backs in that span of from like 92 till 99, 2000 frame.
And then Jamal Charles was an excellent back, but look, he flamed out. Like you can't. Yeah. Not everybody can get 10,000 yards. It's like running backs are a dime a dozen. Kiper said, and I completely agree with Mel Kiper on this. You don't take a first round running back unless he's at a great scale. Like I think Kiper had it where it's like if they're an 8 or above, if they check off the boxes.
Yeah.
Because you don't wait. First round running backs are Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Todd Gurley, and Leonard Fournette. And the jury's still out on Leonard Fournette, but those are the top, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
If you're not in any of those classes, running back, if you take a running back in the first round, you're crazy because you can get running backs all over the place. They have to be a special kind of running back to go in the first round. And then we didn't see the first running back come off the board in this draft until Josh Jacobs at pick 24. That's okay because it's all the way at 24. Josh Jacobs was not worth a top 15 pick. That would have been ridiculous. That's a reach.
Yeah.
But 24, Jacobs, best running back on the board, 24 is fine.
And I have to totally agree here, guys. But we are running late for a break here, so let's take a quick break, and we're gonna come back and we got to talk some NBA time. We'll be right back. All right, man. We'll go ahead and get started right into it here.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. Welcome back to the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike. The man over here to my left is Marcus. And Marcus, your head coach, your old ball coach, Greg Popovich, signed a 3-year extension. I believe it was yesterday. $24 million for over the next 3 years. Does he deserve this?
Absolutely, and it was almost a relief to everybody in San Antonio, the smart people of San Antonio. There's a lot of people that want him gone or new blood and all that stuff. They're ridiculous. Popovich is an all-time coach, a great coach. He's Tim Duncan. That's why he and Tim Duncan were joined at the hip. I mean, it was like the most perfect marriage. They eat, sleep, and drink basketball. That's what they do. Now, do they want breaks from it from time to time off season? Absolutely. But Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich are what you call the most basketball junkies you'll ever meet. I interviewed Coach Pop a long time ago when I was in the media in the late 90s and 2000, and he was a lot more ornery then. I mean, he would get mad faster back then. This guy has completely changed. This guy's become a liberal intellectual that all the players gravitate towards him, and they love him. This guy was mean back in the day a little bit more. I mean, you think he has a short fuse now? No. You talk to Greg Popovich. You talk to Greg Popovich in 1999 and 2000. You think you get cut off now? You really will get cut off. But no, it's great for Greg Popovich to get this extension, and he has the Olympics thing going on. This guy, he'll take a couple of months off here, or at least a month off, and then he'll probably get right back into the coaching because he's got to worry about the Olympics. And this thing comes quick and it comes fast. And I know he's got all the great players, but this isn't as easy as it seems. But the transition period that he's going to have, we thought the transition period he was going to get in. A lot of people thought this was going to be his last year or the next year was going to be his last year. There's going to be some kind of transition period with a new coach and all that. But man, he can now. Listen, this probably won't happen, okay? But he can now look at a Tobias Harris or a Jimmy Butler and say, hey, you come to San Antonio, and I'm going to be here. Now, the Spurs don't have that much cap room. I mean, they hardly have any cap room. But there's creative ways that you can get around that. Let me just tell you, for all the people that'll say, oh, the Spurs can't do that, they don't have any cap room. Let me tell you something. If Jimmy Butler looked Pop and they looked at each other in the eye, or Tobias Harris, and both kids from Philadelphia, if they looked Pop in the eye and there was a mutual thing there, and they during the Olympics, and said, hey, I'll go in and come play for you, Pop. I'll be your third All-Star. I'll be your lead dog. You will maneuver the cap to put Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris coming in at $25 million. You renounce the rights to Rudy Gay. You give up on your 2 first-round picks. You start trading away Patty Mills for a box of chocolates. Yeah, you will get that. You will get under that $24 million quickly. You'll move mountains, even if it means giving up on maybe a couple of people and maybe you don't want to, but getting a Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. If they want to come to San Antonio, you will move mountains to get those guys. And Pop has a real opportunity here because he's going to see Jimmy Butler. He's going to see Tobias Harris. He's going to see Chris Middleton. And all those guys are free agents. He's going to see Kevin Durant. And all those guys, they gravitate towards Pop. If you ever just watch on the Olympic, that he's putting his arm around him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they pick his brain, not just basketball. And then when he's talking basketball, they're listening very intently. So Pop has an opportunity here to grab one of those guys and say, hey, you want to come into the fold. So, and if he doesn't do that, if nobody wants to come and they sign for these $150 million contracts, it's probably what happened. Pop will probably convince Rudy Gay to come back, and then they have 2 first-round picks. I think the Spurs will be just fine moving in the future. They're going to have Lonnie Walker, who was basically on a redshirt year, come back. They're going to have DeJounte Murray, one of the best defensive guards, coming back. And DeJounte Murray also great dribbler of the basketball. He's like a poor man's Russell Westbrook, if you follow the logic there. Not as explosive as Russell, but like a second-tier Russell Westbrook, a little skinnier than Russell. But he gets to the basket with reckless abandon. I mean, DeJounte Murray – he's got to refine his game. He commits a lot of turnovers, and Pop's gonna, this is gonna be DeJounte Murray is Greg Popovich's new Ginobili project. In terms of you got to live with some of his turnovers, and hopefully Pop can do that, and he and DeJounte can be like a match made in heaven, like Pop and Ginobili were, Pop and Duncan were. But the Spurs will be just fine going into the future. I love Lonnie Walker, and then you have the 19th and 29th pick. If they don't get that Tobias Harris or Jimmy Butler or Chris Middleton, that's fine. They have the 19th and 29th overall pick. They're going to build around these guys. We'll talk about the NBA draft soon in the future, but there's a lot of good players around number 19. I've heard that this is a bad draft. I don't buy it. I think it's not a great draft, but it's a good draft. And at the 19th pick and the 29th pick, I think I've already slated a couple of players there. We'll get into that in a few weeks from now or whenever we want to do that. The draft is in June, late June. So there's a few players there I'm targeting that I think the Spurs could really improve themselves on. But you could also package – they have the 29th pick and the 19th pick. You could also package that and move up to like 14 in the lottery or 15. The Celtics have 3 first-round picks. Maybe the Celtics want to trade out and get rid of one. So the Spurs can move up, and maybe the Celtics won't. The Celtics will lose players this year because players just want to leave because they want – there's not enough basketballs in Boston. So though Danny Ainge might want some multiple picks here, and maybe Spurs can move up. That's a trading partner there. But we'll see what happens. But answer your question, Greg Popovich coming back to San Antonio, I think is absolutely fabulous. Another 3-year extension. The guy lives and eats and drinks and sleeps basketball. Olympic team coach, and it's great because now he's going to be there, like to see like what's going to happen with DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge if they get traded, or he's going to see their contracts run out, and there's the stability there. Greg Popovich brings you stability. He can look at the 19th pick and say, "Hey son, I'm going to be with you. You're going to develop under my tutelage." So it's great that he's going to be there. I'm fine with it. There's some people in San Antonio that already want him gone and all that. I don't pay attention to those guys, those people. They're ridiculous. So
right.
Popovich signing the 3-year extension is great.
Yeah, and like having Pop not in basketball is going to be like kind of having like not Tom Brady and like in the Patriots. It's just we've grown, like he's been there as long as I can just think about, and it's just crazy that he's been so successful for so long here.
Right.
But let's go ahead and keep in the basketball realm. Playoffs are still happening tonight. The first game of the night is Celtics versus Bucks. The Celtics did beat the Bucks in game one, 112-90. Very surprising in my eyes. It's just I really expected the Bucks to dominate that game, and that did not happen. So tonight, 8 o'clock on TNT. What is your matchups, and who do you got winning tonight's game?
I was surprised, like you were. Not surprised that I thought the Bucks would go up 2-0 in the series, but I was surprised at the blowout. Right, like I mean, I thought maybe it'd come down to Kyrie possession, Giannis Antetokounmpo possession, some kind of last second possessions here. Man, that thing was a blowout. I mean, that's what was surprising about game one. The Bucks better get it together here, because what's going on with the Celtics, we talked about them in the regular season, not enough basketballs. The continuity wasn't there, the leadership wasn't there, and the Celtics were one of those teams. They're just hanging out for the postseason. So basically, the Celtics, what they did is they turned the switch on in the postseason so far, beating Indiana. Indiana almost had them for a couple of games, but beating Indiana, sweeping Indiana. The Celtics have turned the switch on, and now the Celtics are 5-0 in the playoffs, which is amazing, because they can turn that switch on. They're a la Golden State, not as good as Golden State in terms of switching that on, but they did turn that switch on. And the Milwaukee Bucks better be careful here, because they cannot go down 0-2, or this will be a complete disaster for the Milwaukee Bucks. Don't do like the Spurs did. Spurs were about to go up 2-0 and had a 19-point lead and blew it.
Yeah.
And the Spurs had gone up 2-0 on the Nuggets. Oh my God, we would be talking about Spurs Portland last night. But Al Horford really, I mean, listen, Al Horford is one of those jack of all trades too. He has been one hell of a player. To me, he's a borderline Hall of Famer. Like, this guy, this guy guards all the positions. He's 6'9". You talk about sliding your feet and getting to different players. He's got that quick maneuverability. He can guard people in the post. I think the only place where he would ever struggle, Al Horford, is if he had to go up like at the Tim Duncan or Akeem Olajuwon or a Patrick Ewing. Right. But guess what, Michael? Those guys aren't in the league anymore. So Al Horford is guarding Giannis, and Giannis is 6'10", and Al Horford's there's not too much, and he can stay right with Giannis, and then they force Giannis to shoot 20-footers. Al Horford moves. I mean, that's a great matchup. I look for that matchup. And then what's really hurt Milwaukee is not having Michael Brogdon. They're starting Sterling Moore. Sterling Moore is a good player, but he's not Michael Brogdon. Michael Brogdon is an on-the-ball defender, a dog defender that he wouldn't stop Kyrie, but he'd be one of those where, you slow down Kyrie and you make Kyrie work even harder than he's working. It's like equivalent to Bruce Bowen and the old Spurs going up against Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant might have 35, and you look in the paper and go, Bruce Bowen didn't do his job. Kobe had 35. And then you look at the box score, and Kobe went 8 of 24 to get his 35 and had to go to the line a lot. Right. So Bruce Bowen did his job. He just didn't, he made him miss a lot of shots. Michael Brogdon, I think, would make life hell for Kyrie, and Michael Brogdon's not there. Defensive player, he's not there. And plus, Michael Brogdon hits open shots. He's a very hot commodity in this league when you can play defense and hit open shots. So Kyrie's having a little bit of a free reign here, and then they're getting good play. Boston is, Tatum and Brown. I mean, they're coming to ball. I mean, this is Milwaukee better watch out. Hey, Robin. Hey, remember we sent out those APBs for a few players in the last round. Robin Lopez, Chris Middleton came to play, but with the Robin Lopez and these other guys, Mirotic and Ilyasova, and hey, Connaughton from off guard from Notre Dame, who they drafted a few years back. Hey, time to wake up. You're playing the Celtics. You're in the playoffs. You're going up against a great coach in Brad Stevens. They better wake up. This thing better be 1-1, or we'll be completely wrong about this series. This series, it'll be a short series.
I have to agree with you. After seeing that 20-point win by the Celtics, I was really taken back, and I want to say it was just a hiccup on the part of the Bucks, but you were right. The Celtics have been kind of just playing pacing ball, all season, and they turned on the switch, and it turned on fast, and it turned on bright. And like you keep bringing up, there is not enough balls in Celtics, In the regular season, that matters. In the playoffs, that doesn't matter.
Right.
Anything you want to do is just win.
Right.
And so the Celtics keep, they win, it cures all. So now maybe after they win a championship or they go to a championship, then we'll talk about, hey, I need some more shots. Hey, I want to go to the Spurs. I want to go to the Lakers. But right now, winning cures all, and there's no ill will right now. Just like you said, they are 5-0 in the playoffs, and their average wins of margin is 11.5 points. So they've been pretty dominant night in and night out. For a player to watch, I like watching that Smart. I think he is the catalyst of this team. He is what makes that Celtic engine go. I'm not for sure why, but he is just a nasty, gritty player, and he gets the nasty stuff that nobody else really wants to get, and that translates over to Kyrie. It translates over to Haywood, etc. And it's fun to watch. I'm not a Celtics fan by any means. I actually kind of despise the Celtics a tad bit, but if after watching this first game, I'm going to go with the Celtics tonight to beat Bucks again, to go up 2-0 and make this a 5-game series. I think the Bucks will still win in Celtic land, but they don't get past five games if they lose tonight, which I think they will.
My players to watch are Eric Bledsoe and Robin Lopez. Wake up, because if Eric Bledsoe and Robin Lopez don't have good games, this thing will be 2-0, just like you just mentioned. This will be a short trip here, and that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, because this was definitely shaping out to be a 7-game series.
Right.
Speaking of great series, let's go ahead and move on to the Rockets-Warriors game tonight. They start at 10:30 on TNT as well. Rockets obviously lost the first game. Warriors lead the series 1-0. Refs came out and said they missed 3 late calls in the game that could possibly have won the Rockets the game. I don't know if they still would have won, but they came out and said, yeah, we missed calls. Who do you got winning tonight?
Listen, the Warriors are just a better team. Kevin Durant is on another stratosphere. And listen, Kevin Durant's great. I'm not gonna, cast too many bad aspersions on him, but look, he can be great because he's playing with other great players. He's playing with the best backcourt and maybe some people say in NBA history. So Kevin Durant gets the one-on-one. He can do what he wants. Kevin Durant would still be good if he played for the Charlotte Hornets, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, he still would be an all-world player, but it wouldn't be as easy as this is, what he's doing. He is just free will, having fun in the gym, shooting jumpers. You know what I mean? So this is fun for him. He's an all-world player. I'm not taking anything away from him. They're just a better team. Chris Paul's getting up there in age. I mean, the Rockets don't win unless they get calls, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're just a three-point shooting team.
You're
so
right.
I just don't see the Rockets at all winning this series. The Rockets were a better team last year than they were this year. The only way, listen, if somebody said, "Hey, Rockets won," say I missed the game, I'd have to look at that box score, and I guarantee you it'll say Chris Paul 25, Harden 40, and Eric Gordon is the key. Eric Gordon 30. Those three right there would have to get combined for over 90 points. If Golden State's on their game, those three Rockets would have to combine for 90 points to get the victory because the Golden State's just too good. And then Klay Thompson, I'm gonna be honest with you, Klay Thompson makes me sick because here's a player that he can have everybody calls Klay Thompson this all-world player, right? He's just a max player and all that. I've watched this guy suck, and he'll hang out. He'll be 3 or 4 bad games, and they win anyway. Why? Because he plays with Durant and Curry.
Right.
Go figure. Right. And then then Klay Thompson will show up. Right. 3 bad games in a row. He'll have 48, and everybody goes, "Oh, you see how great Klay Thompson is."
Example: Game 4 versus the LA Clippers. That's exactly what he's referring to.
Right. You're like, yeah, of course he can hang out and not be good and not be hitting his shots. And then because he plays on such a great team, then he can show up one night and then kill somebody in game 2. Tonight, Klay Thompson will have 48 and he hasn't been that good. You know what I mean? So it's just, man, the Warriors are just that good. I mean, so I just don't see Houston hanging around. I think Houston might get a game or 2 Probably 2. I mean, because when they come back home. But yeah, Houston just undermanned in this series. Clint Capella was an absolute non-factor in yesterday's game, and it's funny because I've always preached about this. Listen, I like the Clint Capellas of the world, DeAndre Jordan, Andre Drummond. What do those guys do, Michael? Those guys are big guys. They rebound and block shots, right?
Right.
But if Golden State puts 5 players out there that can all score and shoot the ball, you draw these big guys out, and then that's part of the reason why the Clippers could never beat the Warriors. DeAndre Jordan's a non-factor in the game. I mean, who cares what DeAndre Jordan's doing? So you have to match the Warriors with 5 guys, like a lineup of death, that can go out there and can compete. You don't need the shot blocker, rim protector, because all that guy's going to do is he's going to have to come out and guard Iguodala. He can't.
And then he can be out the dribble.
Right. Clint Capella was a non-factor yesterday. We'll see how this works out in Game 2 tonight. Maybe they'll throw it into Capella a lot and he'll get a lot of dunks or something, and then Warriors have to adjust. But I just always see these big guys playing the Warriors. People would always tell me, Marcus, we need DeAndre Jordan. We need like a rim protector, Nerlens Noel. Name any of them. Andre Drummond. We need one of those guys. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's a good regular season guy. Yeah, that'll work against the Nuggets. Yeah, that might work against Portland. You ain't beating the Warriors with that guy.
No.
And then the whole goal to win a championship. So I just let him know that Paul Gasol was good with the Spurs. He was a non-factor when they played the Golden State Warriors. I like our guy Jakob Poeltl for the Spurs. Good player. If we played the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, the Spurs had won, Jakob Poeltl would probably get as many minutes as you and I. Because if that player just does, you need 5 guys on the court with the Warriors that can play, that can in the triple threat position, can shoot it, pass it quick, go to the hole, lay it in. You got to have multi-dimensional guys,
right? Almost
like a bunch of 6'8", 6'5" guys that can take you off the dribble. Houston can match it a little bit because they do have Chris Paul. Eric Gordon's phenomenal. That's why those 3 and James Harden. PJ Tucker. Is good. I love him as 6'5". He plays the center, like the small. He can play small ball center. He can shoot it, and he guards you. Man, PJ Tucker can guard now. Like he loves
definitely stepped up his game.
Yeah, he can. He made life hell I've seen him make life hell for Paul George and DeMar DeRozan. Just basically take their manhood away. Like they're trying to dribble in, and PJ Tucker just says, "Give me that ball."
Yep.
Like so, PJ Tucker is a good in there. Gerald Green has got to be for the Rockets. If he's 6'8", can shoot the ball, defend, can go to the. Gerald Green has to be a major factor in this series for the Rockets to win, because you can put him out there against Iguodala, against Draymond Green, and then you've got to guard Gerald Green. So I just don't see the Rockets. They just don't have the talent. I see Golden State winning this one and go up 2-0. I think Rockets, might make it interesting if they're hitting their shots. But that 3-headed monster of the Rockets, the Chris Paul, Eric Gordon, and James Harden, they all have to hit 25 to 30, 35, all of them, for even have a chance against this Warriors team.
I have to pretty much concur of like what you said there. The Rockets have to play a flawless basketball game to have a shot, and then either Stephen Curry has to play horrible, KD has to play horrible, Klay Thompson has to play horrible. Two of their 4 have to play horrible for Houston to have a chance. And I don't see that happening in this series. I think the Clippers lit a fire underneath the Warriors, and they are going to show up 48 minutes for 4 straight games. After seeing this first game, this even got them even more hyped, more focused, and I think tonight's going to be an ugly game. Houston is still down. Chris Paul is hurt in the pocketbook after that fine that he got.
Yeah.
So he is going to be a little bit timid out there, and he's like, well, I need to save my body because his body's breaking down. His body will not be able to last a 7-game series playing full speed. So.
It's funny, this Warriors team, though, that you're talking about, though, they're the most turn it off and on team, though. They play defense in spurts, and sometimes they just don't care. So it's weird.
Yeah.
Sometimes they will just turn it off for a while and just go through the motions. It's very weird. Because I think it's almost like they're going for the 4 chick Kerr. Curry and them, they're going for their fourth championship. They get bored.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Like they're literally Rockets, like you said, they're gonna have to hope that now the players don't play well, but like they just kind of get bored a little bit and then go, okay, Houston's up on us 5. Y'all ready? It was the craziest thing, and I'm gonna go back to last year. I've been watching basketball since I came out of the womb. By the way, I have never seen a Western Conference final or any final for that matter where Golden State, where a team just turned it off and on, played around, got bored. The Rockets, think about this. The Rockets in a couple of those games were up 17, up 20, right? And guess what? Golden State not only came back to beat them, they came back and blew them out. So it was like a 40-point swing. Oddest thing I've ever seen. It's like Golden State woke up and said, hey, man, Rockets are up on us 17. Y'all ready? I mean, that's how great this Warriors team is. It doesn't – that's why it's such an unfair advantage when Kevin Durant decided to go to play for the Warriors. It made it really just dumb, like, to be honest. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I don't see the Rockets beating them at all. Now, that being said, I think there's a couple of dogs in the East that have the depth, that have better depth than the Warriors, obviously, like a Celtics team or a defending team like Toronto or a team like the Sixers that can put out there 4 All-Stars that can play with 4 All-Star type players that can play with the Golden State Warriors, like Ben Simmons, Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Jimmy Butler. People don't have that. That can compete with the Warriors, by the way. So I think the Warriors will be pushed in the finals.
Yeah, not until then, more than likely. So let's take a quick break here. Then we're going to flip back to the NFL, and we're going to pick the Houston Sixth schedule coming up right after the break, guys. We'll be right back.
I'm getting texts. I don't know who's texting.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike. If you are new here, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that bell icon, because as we go live, you'll get notifications that we are live. If you're listening to us on iTunes, leave us a ranking, hit that follow button, and leave us a review as well for a chance to win $100 over the next 6 days here. So, Marcus... sorry, my son's here. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Basically.
Don't worry, my daughter's about to interrupt us probably in a minute here.
Just go ahead and pick the Houston schedule here for us. How many wins do you got them winning this year?
Listen, I think if the offensive line is much improved, they'll win 11, 12. They'll win 11, 12 games. But that's the whole key, the offensive line. Listen, Deshaun Watson. He's just absolutely incredible. They're going to get Will Fuller back. If that offensive line is fixed with Matt Khalil and Central Henderson, what we talked about, I think they'll be. Zach Fulton will come back in the fold there at guard from your Kansas City Chiefs. He missed a lot of. He missed all of last year almost. If he comes back and the offensive line is like good, I mean, it was horrific. If it's just decent, the Texans' offensive line, they'll win 11, 12 games. They're going to be competing. The best offensive line of football now belongs to the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, they do.
So
Colts are very solid, very good.
So we're about to see here. I think the Colts and the Texans are going to battle it out for the division. I think Jacksonville's right there. Tennessee's right there. I mean, this division is. I'm going to tell you right now. There are these 4 teams in this division, this AFC South. The worst one will go 8-8. Now, is that going to be Jacksonville or Tennessee? I don't know. I'm probably Tennessee, probably. But although they've covered themselves, if Marcus Mariota gets hurt, they got Ryan Tannehill.
Right. Still trash.
So, yeah. So you can say that, but they have a dominating defense. So if the Tannehill's going to come in a situation where he just has to not screw it up, and then they'll be in a lot of games. But I mean, I'm looking at the Texans like 11-5, 12-4, Colts 12-4, 11-5. And then Jacksonville right on their heels at 10-6, and Tennessee right on that thing at 8-8. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the Texans, I think 12-4. It'll be a fun season to watch.
Yeah, I have them either going 10-6 or 11-5. I'm going to alarm you here though right off the bat. I have them going 0-3 to start the season.
Whoa.
I think they kind of get off on a rough patch there. You know, they play the Saints and then they
Wow.
lose to Jacksonville and then lose to the Chargers as well. And like then they'll win 2 games there, you know, versus the Panthers and the Falcons, and then they'll lose 2 more straight games versus the Chiefs and versus the Colts, and then they'll go on a tear. Either that they are either going to win out the season, or they're going to lose 1 game to the Patriots. Like the only factor in that Patriots game, it is where the Patriots are sitting at in their division at that time. Like, is it already pretty much set and done, and they're going to be just playing back, resting their guys? But the key there is it is a Sunday night game, and the Patriots are they like to play with other teams that are possibly playoff bound that they'll play in the playoffs. So they might just, you know, come out with a basic game plan versus the Texans, like at that point, you know, just depending on where the playoff seedings are. But I see them starting out rough, you know, 2-7 to start the season, and then they're going to go on a tear, and they're going to open everybody's eyes, and possibly only losing 1 more game versus the Patriots. Like I said, that's kind of the coin flip there. The only thing I do not like about their schedule is they play the Titans pretty much back-to-back weeks. So those are division games. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be a division championship type of like games, like in those games, because I think the Colts are going to, you know, be better than the Titans. But that still kind of sucks for them playing at Tennessee, at Tampa Bay, and then finishing at home. That could be a little tough stretch there. But
if they start out the season 2-6, it will be a disaster.
Yeah,
like they will. I'm gonna be honest with you. They're way too talented for that. I'm telling you right now, people will get fired.
You think
I'm gonna be honest with you. They last year they started out 0-3.
Yeah.
But then they went ahead and won 11 out of their next 13 and went 11-5.
Right.
So if they start out 1-2, it's a win. It's better than last year. So I mean, let's just say they lose at New Orleans. They come back and I think they're going to beat Jacksonville at home, the home opener, and then they go to LA Chargers and lose. They're 1-2. They have 2 home games after that, Carolina, Atlanta. They get those, they'll be just fine. I mean, they started out 0-3 last year, so 1-2 would be an improvement.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, listen, Deshaun Watson. I don't know if you've ever followed his career, but the guy's a winner. Like in terms of just look at how he plays the game, the NFL game. Look at his win and loss record, and from high school to college to NFL. That guy has never seen 2-7, 2-6. I mean, that would be. I mean, he's seen 0-3 obviously, but then he quickly corrected that, and they were like 10-3. You know what I mean? So
you're right.
So I mean, this guy's a flat out winner, and he did it. Check this out. He did it with no offensive line, and no Will Fuller. Like in other words, Will Fuller is probably second to Tyreek Hill with just taking the top off the defense and getting downfield. Like Tyreek Hill is in that magical 4.2, you know, Will Fuller's right there in that 4.25. I mean, Will Fuller flies. And so, I mean, Deshaun Watson is if he's ever 2-7 in his career, I'll buy you a steak dinner. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see Deshaun Watson ever having a losing record. That's how special this fight.
I'm not saying it is the fault of the of the Texans. It is just the way their schedule lines up. It is heavy up at the start, and I mean, like I do know that 2-7 start is a hard push there, but you play the Colts, you play the Chiefs, you play the Saints, you play an improved Jacksonville team. So I mean, but just like what you said, like if they do start 1-2, they can afford to lose to the Chiefs and Colts.
No, that's true. I mean, they're still better than they were last year. Yeah, that's true. But anyways, think about the AFC South for a second. Look at the court. Like this. I mean, this could be the best division in football. I mean, you got Deshaun Watson,
right,
Andrew Luck, Nick Foles, and Marcus Mariota. I mean, and then you have Ryan Tannehill. I mean, no, this is really good. And then all these defenses are good. These the offensive line for the Colts is the best in football. Jacksonville's defense is the Colts defense. It's a rebuilding defense, but they're playing well. The Texans defense is top notch. I mean, so yeah, I mean, this is a heck of a division here. I mean, Tennessee's really good. Tennessee's really good all over the place, all over the board. So this AFC South is pretty amazing division. I mean, I don't see any, and I'm gonna reiterate, there's gonna be the worst team in this division will be 8-8. It won't be 4-12, won't be 5-11, won't be 3-13. There'll be no high picks in the 2020 draft coming from this division. You know what I mean? Like it's all going to be 16th pick and above. This is the real deal. This division.
The only thing I'm scared about in this division is they beat each other up, and just so they're not healthy for the playoffs, and they end up knocking each other out. So
that's true.
But guys, that is it for today's show here. Marcus and myself, will be back Thursday, same time, same place. We'll probably talk some more NBA. Of course, we gotta talk NFL because we love football. So if you guys ever want us to cover your team, be sure to leave a comment in below.
Absolutely.
Tweet at me or whoever you want, just to give you guys some previews of like what's coming up. We have some Cincinnati fans that are coming on to the show talking about how bad Cincinnati is. And then we got a Browns fan talking about their Super Bowl hype, which is all just trash talk in my eyes because it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs, so don't worry about that. But guys, we'll be back Thursday, same time, same place. For Marcus and myself, guys, thanks for joining us. We out.